Alrighty, today we're going to go into 8 signs that your affair partner could have narcissistic traits that are playing out in your relationship. So we're going to be diving into the 8 signs of narcissistic traits in relationships, in affair relationships specifically. My name is Kate and I am a coach helping women that are in affairs with married men get out of these affairs and finally design the life that they know they're worthy of. So you may be the other woman, you may be the mistress, you might call yourself the side chick, or you might not even know. Essentially, you're in a sexual relationship with someone that is married. And we all know that living these secret lives in the long term doesn't feel fulfilling. So we're going to go into 8 signs that this relationship, although unhealthy, could have another unhealthy perspective at a deeper level. So obviously, when we're going through an affair, we do feel like these high emotions, these really low emotions. Essentially, your man is going home to another woman at night, and that feels so painful. You might feel so alone, and of course, you're going to feel these jealousy feelings, and you might feel like you can't talk to people about this, and that can leave you feeling alone. Yet at the same time, we're going to go into a much deeper subject where your affair partner may have narcissistic tendencies that adds a whole nother level to it. And without acknowledging these tendencies, then you may just feel that it's simply that the fact that you're living this double life, that you're in an affair, when in actual fact it could go much deeper than that. So we're going to start with sign number 1. Hey guys, I am just going through the editing process and I wanted to quickly put in a disclaimer here. These signs that I am highlighting in this video is not an invitation for you to judge another party for their actions. Again, something that I continually say is nothing is right or wrong about another person's behavior. It is simply a pattern, and a pattern that we can acknowledge and understand. If they run this pattern, how does it make me feel in my life? We then have the opportunity to choose how we want to show up based on that pattern that we experience from another party. So I just want to be clear here. We're not blaming here. We're just seeing a pattern for how it is, and then we get to choose how we want to show up, respond, and acknowledge how we feel when we experience these kind of patterns from another in our life. So I hope that helps. I wish you the best. Let's dive into it. Sign number 1. He went above and beyond when bringing you to his side, when capturing you in and pulling you in. He went above and beyond. And when you're experiencing the highs of a new relationship, it can be so thrilling, and especially a narcissistic trait can mean that you can feel these feelings of highs that you've never felt from anyone before. Narcissistic trait can mean that they do everything, go above and beyond to pull you in, whether it mean gifts, whether it mean compliments, whether they bring you flowers, and do all these things to go above and beyond to set them apart from anyone else. The truth is, this can be extremely confusing because on one side, you've never experienced this before, but in another side, this can be a warning sign for control. It can be a warning sign that they are taking you under their wing and bringing a power play where they are above and beyond anyone that you have experienced before. So really tune in. How did your relationship start? What did it look like? It's really confusing, especially when you have these amazing memories, but just tune in. Was there above and beyond above and beyond application of pulling you in that in the long run can't be maintained? So tune into that. That is sign number 1. Sign number 2 is a poor me story. Now, taking a look back to when your relationship began, did he have poor me stories that captured you in? These can be super subtle, and it can leave you feeling like you want to help him, you want to rescue him, and you want to be there for him through his pain. Yet at the same time, these can be very subconscious ways of pulling you in and creating trust by him being vulnerable, and in turn creating the space for you to be vulnerable too, which can be a power play so that he can have you under his wing. So some examples of that would be him creating stories about his wife and the pain that he has experienced with his wife. So some examples might be, I feel so alone since having kids. I love my kids so much, but ever since having our kids, my wife has been less present for me. She's had all the presents for the kids and giving the kids love and attention, and I know it's silly, but I feel like I have lost all the love and attention. Now, this story could be absolutely true, yet it's a story that creates space for you to be rescuing him. Another story could be that they don't have a sexual relationship anymore, and although a relationship does not need to be built off all sex, sexual relationships do build a lot of connection, and he could feel that the connection is lacking on the sexual relationship side, so you may feel the sympathy for him. Another thing could be that he says, I love the way that you don't argue or put your foot down with me. My wife always puts down her foot, and I just feel this disconnect with her. Now, this is very subtle, but this is planting seeds that if you put your foot down, you're going to be in the bad books like she is. So in order to be a good girl and to be on my good side, it's time to stop putting my foot down so that you can, so essentially he is training you unconsciously to how he would like you to be in the relationship. Another way he could say is, I love the way you wear this. My wife never does that. So then you start being this person that he wants you to be instead of being yourself. Another one could be, I love the way we never argue. I just love the way we never argue. My wife and I have arguments all the time. She's always judgmental. I love the way that you're never judgmental of me. Again, these are super subtle, and feminine energy in general wants to be expansive, wants to be nurturing, and wants to bring people in. Yet it's also having a presupposition that if you want to be in his good books, it's time to stop arguing. It's time to stop speaking your truth, and it's time to start acknowledging what he wants without acknowledging your own. Again, it's so subtle, but when you hear these stories, then suddenly you're planting the seed in your mind that in order to be who he wants you to be, it's time to stop arguing, it's time to start wearing certain clothes, it's time to not put your foot down. These stories can be true, they may not be, but essentially you are falling into this corner, this trap where you're wanting to support him because of all the challenges that he has had with his wife, yet it's also conditioning you to be a certain person so that you don't become the kind of wife that he has said he does not like. So his wife might actually not have any of these traits, and it's very common that she doesn't, yet these stories that he is running that he feels in his heart is true is shaping you into who you need to be in order to be a good girl for him. So tune into that. Number 3 is, do you feel he is always right? Do you find yourself silencing your opinions, your point of view in order to please his need to always be right? If you feel like you're silencing a part of yourself and you can't always speak your opinions and your point of view, there is a control here. There is a power at play, and we really got to tune in to these tendencies. Narcissistic tendencies always have a need to be right, to be in control. And if this is showing up in your relationship, that could be a sure sign that he has narcissistic traits playing out, that there is this control and power play happening in your relationship. I just want to add in here that this can be really challenging, especially because you are the affair partner. If he has the need to always be right, there is a presupposed threat that if you speak your truth and if you share your feelings and it is uncomfortable for him, then he essentially could leave you and just go on to another woman or go back to his wife, or he could value his wife's opinion more than your own, and essentially it can make you feel unworthy. So if he always has this need to be right, And when you voice your opinions, it can create conflict between you two. You might be trying to avoid that conflict because there's this subconscious belief that if you do create conflict between the two, he could just move on. He could move on to the next woman, or he could move back to his wife, or he could honor his wife's perspective more than your own. And as you started out the relationship, when he was putting down his wife and suddenly he's moving back to his wife, it's presupposing that you're not good enough either. So these are real ties that keep you trapped in an unhealthy relationship. Look into these ties that could be true. Again, this is a perspective that we play out. It doesn't mean that it's true in your life. It doesn't mean that your opinion is not worthy and his is. So tune into, do you feel like you can't speak your truth? And if it is true, this could be a power play that is unfolding in your relationship. Okay, the next sign that your affair partner could be a narcissist is that you always feel talked down to. A common trait for narcissistic behavior is that they put you down in order to make themselves feel better. So that does not justify who you are as a person, but you may feel like you're always talked down to, that you're never doing a good enough job, that he's never satisfied with what you're doing. If you always feel this pressure to perform and that it's never good enough in his eyes, then there is a potential that he could have this narcissistic trait playing out that you could feel in your relationship. If you always feel this need to perform above and beyond, it's unhealthy, it's stressful. And so we really got to tune into, do we feel this need that we have to be perfect in his eyes, and yet at the same time, we never meet it. We never meet perfection. He is always finding things to criticize, condemn, and complain about. And so it's not saying that this is right or wrong. It's not a right or wrong trait. It's just a perspective. It's a good thing to be able to acknowledge these certain traits so that we can see what is healthy in our relationship, what we want to stand for getting a man into our life. So tune in. Do you feel like he's always putting you down? Do you always feel like you're walking on eggshells? Do you always feel like you can never do a fully good enough job? If that is the case, it could be a sign that he has these narcissistic tendencies in your relationship. Okay, so the next one is isolation. Isolation in narcissists is very common. So they would like to take you aside and pull you away from your family and friends in order to gain control and keep you in their power. Now, seeing you are in a relationship with a married man and having this secret relationship, you tick all the boxes for a safe place for a narcissist to breed isolation. You are out of the public eye. You are probably out of the eye of your family, your friends, or at least a lot of the people that are in your closest circles, because they don't know about this relationship. You are at least out of the public eye of all his associates because he is living a secret life. So it is probably very much a big yes that you could be isolated in this field. And because of isolation and because of the fact that you are in a sexual relationship with him, you are taking all his advice and his advice only. So when he is putting put downs on you or making perspectives and opinions on certain areas in your life, if you're constantly taking them on board, his opinions and his opinions only, they become your own, no matter how much they may not align with your true sense of self. So eventually we become numb. We become numb to our own needs and our own sense of identity because they draw you away. They draw you away from your family, your relationships. Now, in regards to isolation, you may none of your family or friends may not know about this, but it still means that he can isolate you from having genuine connections with your friends and family. So he may want to protect you and make out that he's wanting to protect you from unhealthy friends or relationships that don't serve you. Yet in the actual fact, what he may be trying to do is take you away from these close friendships so you no longer rely on their friendship, and instead you're relying on his relationship only. So this is a clear sign of narcissistic tendencies. So tune into, have you been isolated? Are you isolated in this relationship? It is very common to be isolated in this relationship. So if you are, that is another sign that you could be experiencing narcissistic abuse in your relationship. So the next sign is that your relationship makes you feel less than and disempowered after connecting with each other. So relationships are designed to build you up, to leave you feeling stronger and more empowered after connecting with one another. If you leave feeling more powerless and disempowered and like you haven't been seen and you haven't been heard, then there could be a sign that you have narcissistic tendencies in your affair partner playing out. If he isn't feeling your feelings and understanding your needs and your wants and desires in the relationship, then it's very common for you to feel not seen, not heard, not understood. So tune in. How do you feel after connecting with someone? Do you leave on a high, feeling like that you feel fully understood and supported by this person when you share your deepest desires, when you share your dreams, when you share your feelings, when you share your wants in the relationships? Or do you feel like their needs are being met and they want to help you, but it's through helping themselves and their own wants and desires instead of really truly feeling your feelings, your wants, your desires? So tune in. How do you leave? How do you leave the relationship? Does it fill you up? Does it fill your cup up? Or do you feel depleted after connecting? Another sign of narcissistic tendencies is their friends. Tune into the friends they have. Do they have powerful, beautiful friends that you love and adore too? Do they have friends that they truly rely on? Do they talk positive things about their friends, or do they put people down? If they're constantly putting people down and don't have a massive friendship circle, actually we don't even all have to have a massive friendship circle, but do they have some great friends in their life? Do they have some great connections? If they don't, it's a very big sign that there is narcissistic tendencies in it, where they're constantly putting people down and burning out their friends. So tune into that. You don't want to be the next person that is burnt out by a friend that hurts you in the long run. So tune in. Do they have great friends? Do they have people that lift them up? Do they have people that they talk highly of? And if they don't, there's another red flag or warning sign that this could be narcissistic qualities in your relationship. So the last one is a roller coaster of emotions. This is the last sign that you could have or be experiencing narcissistic qualities in your affair partner, a roller coaster of emotions. Now, let's be clear here. You are in an affair relationship with someone who is unavailable. This naturally could breed a roller coaster of emotions. It's living a secret life, living something that is against your values and standards, not being in a relationship with someone that is unavailable. These naturally breed unhealthy emotions in a relationship. But we want to take it another step deeper, and we want to tune into your connection with him. And does that breed a roller coaster of emotions? Now, what this looks like is having these massive highs with him where he loves on you, love bombs you, gives you all the flowers and the love and the compliments that you feel so connected and adored and appreciated in the relationship. And the next minute, he strips it away and puts you down and says things that you need to improve on, and where you're not good enough, and where he's unhappy with you. And so this roller coaster of emotions, or where you feel misunderstood, or where you don't feel like he hears you or understands you, or that he's not appreciating your perspectives and point of views. If you're feeling these massive highs and these massive lows, that is a sure sign that there can be narcissistic qualities in your affair partner. So really tune in. Again, where these highs and these lows are coming from, it could be coming from purely the fact that you're jealous, that you're living this double life, that you're violating your values and standards, that you're living a secret relationship to someone who is unavailable. But the other sign is, how does he make you feel? At the end of the day, how does he make you feel? How does he respect you? How does he treat you? Does he hear your feelings? Does he see and meet your needs? If that's the case, fantastic. If there's a part of you that feels empty and lonely at the end of the day, then it's really time to tune in and ask yourself, is that something that I really deserve in a relationship? So it's time to start tuning into these qualities. You have 8 signs right there on what it could look like if your affair partner has narcissistic tendencies. Now, let's be clear here. Narcissistic tendencies does not mean the person is a bad person. We want to be clear here. Your affair partner could be the most loving, beautiful, kind-hearted person, yet at the same time have these tendencies that are natural habits and patterns that a narcissist can play out in order to attract you into his circle. It doesn't mean that this person is wrong. It just means these are patterns that he runs, that he knows subconsciously works in order to bring you in order to get power. So what we want to be clear here is it's not black and white. It doesn't mean that a narcissistic tendencies mean immediately that the person is a bad person. No. The person could be a great person. He could still love, care, and adore for you, but he could run patterns that deplete you in the long run. So tune into these patterns. I hope that helps. I hope that brings awareness. With awareness, we can start creating the change that we know we are worthy of. So I'll leave you with that. I hope you have an amazing day. Bye for now.